Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible day, and may peace be upon you. So, welcome to the show. It Takes Courage with me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And today we have a special topic: how to manifest your dream life, with the contributors from Spotlight Magazine who shared about possibility in the magazine. And if you just joined us, we would love for you to drop a hello in the comments. So go ahead and drop a hello so that we can say hello to you as well. And let's bring up the contributors of Spotlight Magazine. Before that, I'm a best-selling author, TEDx curator, and also visibility expert, and the host of today's show, It Takes Courage. So let's bring up the ladies today. We have Deb Rosman as well as Dr. Danielle Zanzarov on the stream today. So let's welcome the ladies. Um, okay, let me just make sure that we have. There we go. Just need to change of settings to see the ladies here. So that's a possibility, right, ladies? When you can't see something, maybe you just have to change your perspective. In my case, I just needed to click a different button for me to see a different perspective. So that is like one of the coolest message, like straight up from the divine himself. So let's go straight to the point here. Let's start with Deb. So, what would be your biggest tip in creating your dream life or a life of possibility, especially when we're dealing with grief? Because grief happens; it is inevitable in whatever shape or form. So, what is your biggest tip for people to deal with grief?
My biggest tip, my go-to, is to foster within others the concept to embrace, first of all, to embrace the discomfort. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve. But my message is to not choose to live there. That I want to foster within everyone, whether you're religious or not religious. That's why I tend to refer to physics, and that message is energy cannot, it cannot die. It can only change form. And again, whether a person is a person of faith or not, if you embrace the concept that we are eternal and we do not die, there's a lot of comfort that comes with that. As you know, my dear friend, I process, one of my modalities is with poetry, and whether it's reading someone else's or writing my own, and that's always the running theme through each and every piece, is that there is, we come through to the other side. And for me, I find it very comforting, even though physically they're no longer next to me. Their spirit, their soul, their essence surrounds me at all times. And that's part of the self-soothing message.
Brilliant. So, Dab processes grief through poetry, through words. And maybe, Dab, in a moment, you can, sometime in this interview, maybe able to share, read your poem as we go towards the end of the show, The Grieving Heart. So there's many ways that you can process grief, and it's inevitable that people are going to experience through it. So one of that modality is poetry, and she also mentioned before journaling or however way that you want to use to express it. Grief is sometimes, you don't grieve for whatever reason, and then suddenly it will hit you. And sometimes you just grieve all the time. So you want to think about a modality that works for you, and the modality can be maybe different at any time. So thank you so much, Deb, for that kind of idea of processing grief through a modality that works best for you. So we'll ask Jeb to join us in a moment. And now I want to invite another friend of ours, another contributor, Dr. Danielle Zanzarov, who is a naturopath, but also someone who is passionate about health because of health journey. So Danielle, health is one of the biggest concern that people have at the moment. People are experiencing burnout. They're experiencing illnesses that they've never had before. And in your case, you shared about the pregnancy tips because women are having a tougher time on getting pregnant.
Sure.
So, what is your tip on creating possibility on the health and wellness?
Love that question is, so how do we create what's possible with our health? And I think there's a couple key pieces to that. So number one, we've got to be willing to look outside of our normal perspective, right? In our world today, we've kind of, I like to say we're kind of stuck in a little box as to what we think is normal and possible with our health. It's funny, you hear people, they're like, oh, my bones are a little creaky, or oh, I'm a little more tired than usual. And they're like, oh, it's just a part of aging. I'm just getting older. And I invite people to step outside of that. What if it wasn't always about just getting older, or, hey, this is just the way it is, or, oh, I'm just going to get worse? What if your health could actually improve? What if you could actually age and have your energy and vitality increase? And so when I think about the biggest tool to stepping outside and stepping into what's possible with our health, it's like starting to look in a different way and starting to identify what else is there, right? How else can I start to look at my health? And that also means that we've got to not just rely on outside sources, but really hone into our own tuition and get present to what's possible with our body specifically. Sometimes we just don't listen to what our body's already saying. We're so distracted by all these things, all the noises in the background, all the other stuff that's happening, and we're just disconnected. So it's really about reconnecting to yourself as well.
That is so beautiful because we're trained for many years since we were a kid that health is a particular way, right? Some
Yes.
people call it
Yes.
the conventional way, the modern medicine way, however that you want. For example, if you get sick, you take paracetamol. What do you call it here? Motrin. We call
Sure.
it paracetamol. Yeah, we call it paracetamol back in England. So I think it's Motrin, whatever brand that is. Uh,
Yeah.
so we're taught that's usually what happens when we go to a health practitioner when our kids are ill and when we're ill. So,
Yeah.
Danielle, what you're saying is kind of like let's let's do something different. Let's
Yeah.
take it from the connection to your body. So, can you tell us what that looks like? Because for some people, how do I connect to my body? My body is my body. Like, it feels this way all the time. So, how do we connect to our body? How do we listen to our body? How is our body telling us a certain things for our benefit or giving us a message?
Yeah. So I think one of the first things we need to do is kind of unnumb ourselves from all the distraction and all the other stuff that we use. So for example, let's take food. Food is a huge part of actually reconnecting with your body. It's a huge part of bringing yourself to that space of health. And yet we're very disconnected to what it is that we put in our body, right? So, I mean, most of us know that if we're eating real, natural, healthy foods, that that's going to empower our body. But I don't think most people think about how that actually also reconnects you, because when we're using caffeine as a drug, when we're using food as when we're using sugar as a drug, when we're using food in general as a drug, sure, when we're using, say, cookies as a drug, or we're using alcohol as a drug, or we're using all these different things, we are actually turning ourselves off from the messages that come from our body. So beginning to just clean up and clear out a little bit makes a really big difference. Bringing those vegetables into our diet makes a big difference. For example, using water when you have that headache, is like you said, and you reach for that Motrin. Well, your body isn't lacking in Motrin, right? We don't get a headache because our body's missing Motrin. Usually we get a headache because our body's missing water and hydration. It's one of the leading causes of having a headache. So going and reaching for stuff that is actually designed for our bodies to begin with, straight from nature. I think that's one of the key words or key phrases I like to use, is straight from nature. So how was it given to us? And that's the kind of food and drinks that we want to use, things that come straight from nature. And as we do that in terms of connecting, we start to hear more of what our body needs as well. And so
Brilliant.
the other part of that
Mhm.
is that quiet? Is that meditation? Is that solitude with yourself, that presence?
That is like so kind of like important to go straight to the source, like nature-based source
Yes.
when you reaching out through things, which often than not we tend to rely on synthetic manufactured things to take care of our body. But
Yeah.
like Mother Nature has, it's the medicine in itself.
Yes.
So what I wanted to touch base now, Deb and Danielle, we talk about processing things and listening to things, listening to grief, to your body, how you want to process the grief. More often than not, your body would tell you how it wants to process grief. And the same with you, Danielle, like you talked about how what is our body telling us in order for it to be healthy. I want you to kind of, if there's an example in your life where this is applicable, that people can start to see how this listening to things, because I think that's where possibility lies when you start to listen to your body or to the outside. Like an example from me, I think on Saturday I drove up to record my song Barriers and at my friend Drew's house. And as I was driving, I felt the car feeling different. I
Hmm.
was like, why is this feel different? And my logical mind was like, no, no, it's fine, it's usual because of the surface of the road. But it feels different. It feels heavy. It feels like I'm dragging the car while I'm driving. But my logical mind was like, no, it's fine. Just keep going. You only have 20 miles left. I've already traveled 40 miles. So, you have 20 miles left. You're fine. The car is moving. Everything is fine. And then the lights start to come on. One of the lights. I don't know what it means, but one of the lights start to come on. I was like, no, it's fine. No, my head. But my heart was like, this is something is off. Something is off. And then the next lights start to pop in. No, it's fine. It's fine. The car is moving. It's fine. But there was a moment when my body was like, this is not okay. I need to pull. I need to take the next exit and I need to stop somewhere. And I just like forget everything else. Pull to the, I mean, took the exit, pull up to Ross, like next to the freeway. It was Ross. Moved to the parking lot and the car just died. Like in that moment, I couldn't move the car. So that is kind of how do you kind of like your mind is telling you something else. Like for me, something, my heart is telling me something's not right, but the mind is, it's okay, it's okay. So let's touch base with that. When you when you kind of like feel something, but you're trying to reason about something, but all the lights are going on and you feel something's off. So how do you process that part of grief when you're really grieving, but you kind of have to put a brave face or you kind of have to like, I can't deal with grief at the moment. So how do you kind of like take that action to take care of yourself?
Incredible question. And I before I answer that completely, I do want to chime in. I was taking notes when Dr. Danielle was speaking, and also your example is with our bodies are just beautifully built machines, and they do tell us, and absolutely, if a headache's coming on, it's not. I am so sorry, not the lack of Motrin or some other product. It's typically it is water. Water is magic, as is air and healthy food. And part of my journey that stemmed from the earlier grieving processes, because I lost several key family members within a reasonably short period of time, a decade, very close individuals. And yeah, at first I was not making good choices. In answer to your question, I was choosing alcohol. I was choosing to fill my body with foods that were not conducive to good health. And part of it was, my dad was a big steakhouse fan, and I still love the steakhouse vibe 3 years into being a vegan. Still love the steakhouse vibe. And part of my journey actually has been to embrace my aging body. And instead of being afraid or ashamed or anything like that, embracing the process. And in doing so, that's where my journey led me to whole food, plant-based. How that ties into is, to your question, Izzy. One of my key modalities has been cooking. I love cooking. I find it very relaxing. The process of washing, chopping, dicing, creating, adding these fabulous spices. So part of my journey when I lost my mom was to recreate my favorite recipes of my mother with, just tweak it so that it fell within the whole food plant-based. And so that was a huge modality that I tapped into. When it's more urgent, when maybe you have to be at work, you've used up your bereavement time all 3 days, I think that needs to change. But when, and you're in a situation, breathing, really, that's the reliable, whether you use a box breath or whatever, breathing, if you can step away, even just for a few moments, if you can step away, and especially if you can step outside into nature.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few moments, and I think Dr. Danielle will concur. Just a few moments and some deep breaths helps your body reset.
Yeah,
And then,
I think that's a great point of view.
And the journal, you can keep a journal at work.
Yeah, so journal at work, or what you talked about in terms of, when you have a little bit more time, like, grieving isn't just a spot, right? It's like throughout the process with you recreated the recipes from your moms, right? So that's kind of like the ongoing loving tendering of the soul. And take a step on nature, journaling, or even just take a moment to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths within that seconds. I think that's going to be meaningful. And Danielle, let's talk about health as well. In general, not in general, like in Spotlight Magazine, you talk about pregnancy tips, but I think that is applicable throughout various areas of life, the tips that you shared, because there's an imbalance. When things doesn't happen, there's an imbalance in your body. So let's talk about some doable action plan that people can do to create balance. And I know there's no, like, in an ideal world, everything is balanced, but in reality, you can't really have perfection in the balance. But let's talk about the step to at least have things in harmony with one another.
with respect to our health, right? So having
Yes.
things in harmony with respect to our health, being in harmony, in connection with our body. I think that there's three important things, right? So number one, what we have already talked a little bit about is connecting and listening, right? Even if that is, first thing in the morning, when you get up, before you touch your phone, before you roll out of bed, just take a couple minutes, just survey your body, survey your emotions, just identify where you're at coming into the moment and allow yourself some grace, right? And listen, sometimes the messages is like you said, you kind of kept pushing that voice down that there was something wrong, but it was like, is there's something wrong, in the car there. So it's no different than our bodies. Listen for what it is that your body needs, right? And then number two, like we already said already as well, is bringing in food that's actually going to nourish your body. You know, the definition of nutrition is that which is designed to, bring our bodies energy, help our bodies heal. And it's like you just walk into the grocery store, and that's for the most part not happening. I always joke, like, there's two entrances to the grocery store, and the minute you're already past the first entrance, you're already bombarded by things that do not actually serve your body. So becoming more in tune of, okay, well, what can I use to really nourish my body that's going to empower me, right? And while Doritos might taste really good, we know that they're not bringing us the energy that our body actually needs, the nourishment that our body actually needs. So going back to staying as close to nature as possible. And then number three is paying attention and not settling with what that status quo is all the time, because it's we often walk through life in all different areas, including our health, almost like with a pair of sunglasses on. And we think, as we're looking through those sunglasses, that this is the way that the world really is, right? Oh, it's normal to have the aches and pains. Oh, it's normal, to have digestive issues every day. But when we start to take off our glasses and we start to look at the world with a new perspective, with a new lens, we can say, well, maybe I'm supposed to be moving my bowels every day, not every other day. Or maybe I'm supposed to move my bowels a couple times a day, not just once a day. I wonder why that's happening. Right. And then starting to look, I mean, obviously you always want to work with the qualified practitioner, but start to look at, okay, well, what does my body need? Am I getting in enough fiber? Am I getting in enough of what it takes for my body? Do I have a long history of maybe not treating my digestive system in the proper way? Like, I've got a lot of antibiotic use, for example. Do I need to replenish my gut microbiome? So start to listen and look for what it is that those clues that your body are sending, and start to look at things in a different way. And I think if we can do that, kind of hone in and listen, right? Give our body what our body needs straight from nature, and then begin to look at those areas where maybe things aren't exactly where we want them to be, and start to level up. We never have to remain stuck where we are. We can always look for what's that next level. How can I improve? You guys, we're either getting better or we're getting worse. The truth is, we're never really just staying the same. And if we're like, oh, we're staying the same, that usually means that we're not headed in the right direction. So always take a look at, how can I level up my health? What can I do next to take my health to that next level? So those would be three
Wonderful.
things I would say is.
Thank you so much. So for the viewers that are listening, drop in the comment below what would be one of your ways when you're grieving. Like Deb was saying that she would be cooking. That's kind of like a like a kind of like lifetime connection between her and her mom, or journaling or through poetry. So drop in the comment below one of your favorite ways to grieve, or one of the ways that you tend to go to when you're grieving. And then as for the health part, reflect and drop in the comment as well, like, what is the signal that your body is telling you? More often than not, your body is telling you something, like, just like me when I was driving, right? The lights go off and then the next light goes off, and it's there, but we just got to be open to listen to those feelings and those signals. So Deb, do you think we have a moment to read a poetry from you? My favorite, it is the one that soothed my heart when my grandma mommy passed away. You Are Not Gone. Do you have a moment to read it for us?
Well, since you're asking, Izzy, of course I do. And thank you so much for allowing me this fabulous forum with you two incredible ladies to share it in. And the piece that Dr. Jamil was referencing is, well, it is actually because of Izzy that it is now my signature piece. So it really sums up my message nicely. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? It is entitled, I Am Not Gone. Even when my body gave out and I'm no longer around, I am not gone. For you, my child, who is still so young, I pray you'll never feel that I abandoned you or that you are all alone. I am not gone. It's not just your memories of me that will keep me alive, although thinking about how much I love you and how proud I am of you is good. There are other forces, factors, helpers that will be there for you when you need me. I am not gone. They will constantly come and go from your life, for there can never be another me. But be there for you, they will be. Coworkers, friends, relatives, and many more, providing you with comfort, advice, and care. So while it is true I've left this realm, I am still watching over you, and with my helpers, my agents, if you will, I am still there to guide you and advise you. I am not gone. When you miss me, just stand silently and listen to my voice beating inside you. My voice sings in the wind and will resound in others too, my helpers, for I am not gone.
Oh, thank you so much, Deb. It's just, it's one of my favorite. Like, there's other things that I love in the poetry, but this is always my favorite. It's always given me the food for thought. When you miss me, just stay in silence. Because when you miss people in your life, you just stay in silence and remember them. Let's for those of you who want access to Spotlight Magazine, you can go ahead and let me just quickly share here. These are the other contributors of Spotlight magazines. You want to scan the barcode at izdiharjamil.com/spotlight, izdiharjamil.com/spotlight. And we can also have you scan it directly from here on the little barcode, izdiharjamil.com/spotlight. You have a complimentary access to the digital version, and you can also grab a copy of the printed version. We highly recommend you grab a copy of the printed version because there's nothing like seeing it in printed form. It's just so beautiful. The color, yay! Deb has got it. All right, ladies, let's wrap up with one final word from you in creating possibility, especially when you are going through in an uncertain world. Nothing in this world is predictable, and we don't want it to be predictable. But how can we keep moving in creating your world of possibility in an uncertain world? What's your one word advice, or a couple word advice from yourself? Let's kind of start with Danielle.
Couple words, keeping it to a couple words. Okay, that's a challenge. I would say those couple words are listen and continue moving forward. Listen to your intuition, to your what's happening inside, and continue moving forward.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Danielle. Okay, Deb, what's your final couple of words, one or two words, in creating a possibility in an uncertain world?
And building on Danielle, self-soothe. Self-soothe.
With the right thing, right, Deb? Self-soothing.
Yes, with ideally a healthy option. but
Yes.
self-soothing. And and you and I have talked about it so much. It's really nature. Nature is the best soothing balm available to us. Most of us, even inner city, you can step outside, go to a park, and just nature, the sun on your face, vitamin D, Dr. Danielle.
Yeah, absolutely. Sun on your
Yes.
face, sun, and being connected to the ground and the earth,
Yes.
using the earth's energies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So listen and keep moving forward and self-soothe yourself in a healthy, positive, nature-based way as you take care of your body. And sometimes it's just okay to just stop and pause and like I need to take a moment for myself. Even if you're at a workplace or even if you're in a meeting, hey, I just need to take a moment. Are you cool with that? Most of the time, people would, give you that grace for you to take a moment when you need to take a moment. So thank you so much, ladies, Dr. Danielle Zanzarov and Deb Rosman for joining me today in sharing the tips, the practical action plan for you to create your dream life in an uncertain world. So viewers, go ahead and drop down a couple of your nuggets in the comments that you have learned from the ladies today. And for those of you who have the intention of becoming a best-selling author, go ahead and go to scan the freebie, izdiharjamil.com/freebie, to access your checklist on writing a best-selling book in 30 days. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. And then hopefully that the viewers today can listen and take away with the beautiful things that we have shared today and create a better life for themselves. Be brave in sharing your voice. Like the lady said today, keep on going, listen and keep on going, and then start your day with a smile, perhaps, and breathe. All right, ladies, let's say bye to everybody. Bye.
Bye.